I love these kind of introductions where all you have to say is, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Halle Berry. First, let me say thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so happy.
And then second, let me say congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
right? I was saying, it was, and hopefully everybody here, it was a perfect movie-going experience in that getting to just go and enjoy the movie without any preconceived notions and just kind of being taken away into the story. So I really appreciate you letting us be one of the first.
Well, thank you. This is the first. That's why I'm soaking wet under my coat. This is the first audience that has actually seen this movie.
So tell us, how did this project come to you? How did you get involved with this project?
I got involved with this over 10 years ago. An actor, which some of you in here might know, Oba Babatunde. Do you know Oba?
Yes.
We were introducing Dorothy Dandridge, and when the movie was halfway over, he said, I know a guy who's got the rights to a real true story about a woman with this disorder, and you would be amazing to play her. And he told me the story, and I was fascinated. And from that moment on, I had him introduce me to the guy, Michael Levy, who, I don't know, Michael was here. Is Michael Levy here? Hi, Michael. Michael's
yes.
back there. He had the rights to this amazing woman's story, and we tracked him down, and we've been relentless for, I don't know, maybe it's like 10 or 11 years now trying to bring this movie to life. And it's been really, 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 really hard. So to be sitting here today with this little movie finally being made is just, feels like a triumph.
What were some of the obstacles that
well, it's a little small movie, and as the years have gone on, dramas, like adult movies, have become less and less interesting to people, it seems. You know, you have to blow stuff up, you have to be animated, or you have to be, you know, really kooky and funny today, it seems like, to get people to rush out to the movie theater. So to make little movies about a slice of life or about something that can add some light in a dark place just seemed harder and harder to get made. And as the years went on, I thought it would get easier, but it got harder and harder and harder, so much so where there were times when I thought, this is never gonna happen. And then being a woman of color, it's harder for us to get, you know, it's still harder to get our stories told. So that's always something that I fight with, and I struggle with, and I fight for.
Well, thank you for persevering. It was a great performance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Phenomenal performance. Go ahead.
Oh my God,
No. I'm gonna.
Don't make me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Don't get me started in here. It'll be a long night if I get going.
So talk to us a little bit about some of the acting challenges, because it seems like it was daunting, and you had to go to some places for this.
Yeah, I remember I fought so hard to get the movie made that the actual moment that I knew it was really going to happen, I was then scared to death, because now I thought, oh, now I have to actually go do this, what I said I could do, now I have to actually do it. And you don't know if you ever can, really. At least in my case, I'm thinking, oh, I said I could do it. I hope I can. So it was it was daunting, and I did a lot of research on the issue and watched hours of tape of real people with this real disorder. And one of the things that I noticed right away is that it wasn't as dramatic as I'd seen it before, that it was sort of, these changes from person to person with these people happened sort of matter-of-factly and sort of very nonchalantly, and sometimes if I wasn't looking hard enough, I would miss it. And I thought, won't that be a really interesting aspect to bring to it? Because that felt like the truth of it, because I watch medical tapes, you know, of patient after patient, and I thought, won't that be an interesting truth to bring to it? That it's not as dramatic as one might think. It's something very subtle and very simple that these people struggle with. So that was very important to me, to bring that reality to it. And it was also daunting to be a black woman playing a character who has a part of themselves who thinks they're a white racist. And I thought, how am I going to say some of this stuff, and how am I going to bring, some truth to that character, which is really far from me? How do I bring truth to her? Because that character needed to be honored too, because that was very much a part of, our main character. So it was about finding those fine lines and trying not to step over them, but honoring, each character, and then finding a way to bring the kids some dignity and some honor to that little child too, and try to understand what that was all about, and try to understand why her brain sort of fragmented like that, and what did it all mean. I spent a lot of time, really read lots of books on the issue, and realized that every person had one common thread, and that was that they all had something horrific happen to them when they were small, something so traumatizing that they just couldn't handle it, and it was either die or your brain splits and helps you deal. And usually the stronger part of themselves is what becomes the character that the host character has to struggle with the most. They're really struggling with parts of themselves that they can't come to terms with.
Yeah. And I noticed there were a lot of writers in
Trying to get this right wasn't easy.
and you were one of the producers, so you worked very closely on the script and the whole writing process?
Yes, and we have many writers because each writer sort of brought something new and interesting to it, and we kept looking for new writers because we never felt like we got there. We kept thinking there has to be another way to explain this, another way to explore this. So we kept trying new writers and getting new, and I had so many years to work on it, so we kept finding new people that got interested, that brought some new element to it that we didn't have before. And I think we could have kept writing. I mean, we could have kept trying to figure out how can we, put the little pieces to this puzzle together. Because there's so many stories we could have told. We could have told this so many ways because her life was so full. So it was about trying to narrow it down and put it in a movie that was watchable. I mean, we didn't want to make a 4-hour movie, so it was really hard to put it together in a cohesive way.
I'm going to ask a couple of mundane questions. So how many shooting days?
Very short, like I think 25.
So, and where?
Low budget, low budget. 1 or 2 takes, that was about it. Low budget.
So, and where did you find the director, and how did that relationship come about?
The director is Jeffrey Zaks. He's an English director, and we were looking, and I found a director who did an English movie called Tipping the Velvet. Does anybody here think they might know what tipping the velvet means? Okay. Shall I tell you? Tipping the Velvet was about lesbian love. So Tipping the Velvet is tipping velvet. And I only make a case because I didn't know that when I sat down to watch Tipping the Velvet, that it was about tipping the velvet. But when I got into the movie, I thought, wow, he had a way of making that situation seem just very human and real, and a lot of dignity was brought to it, and a lot of humanity. And I thought that's absolutely what our characters of Frankie and Alice needed, a lot of dignity and a lot of humanity to try to understand the totality of what it was. And it sort of did that movie sort of did that for me with that issue of homosexuality. It sort of did that for me.
Yeah. One thing I liked is you said, in the personalities and the fragmentation, that the trauma was because of love. I just thought that was kind of, at least for me, very fresh, because we see these things, and I kept expecting it to go to the really dark place, and then when it didn't, I actually had a moment where I was like almost overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Right. And we didn't want it to go dark because the story wasn't dark. We tried to just honor what was real and not do typically what people do in movies. They take the licenses to make it that way,
right,
just for it to be sensational. And we thought, no, that's not the story. So let's honor that. And that's what I loved about Jeffrey Zaks, was he just wanted to always honor the story and try to tell it as honestly and as truthfully as we could without putting too many, movie magic spins on it. But just try to tell it, simply tell it.
So now, as a producer and obviously as an actress, but I would think more on the producing side, you've got to champion this film.
Yeah.
And I know it's been around for a while. What took so long for that part of it to finally get it out and start getting it out to the public?
Well, we had to put it together, and once again, we had no money. So once we got it shot, I think our post was a little bit longer than it probably should have been, because we had to, continue to raise money to put all the bells and whistles on it. And then finally, it took us a while to find a distributor that got it like we got it. In today's marketplace, so many distributors would see it and say, yeah, we love it, but who's going to see it? It's a little small movie about a subject that may be hard to sell. So it took finding the right distributor who said, I get it, I get why you made this story, and we believe in it, and we think that people will want to go see the story about this woman. So it's about finding, the right partnership, and we finally found the right people who believe in it like we do.
Is this a film you'd tell your friends to go see? Are you going to tell your friends to go see it? I always like when we get in these kind of campaigns, it's like when we do the voting campaigns, it's like, take 5, okay? So get 5 of your friends and then ask them to take 5 and do the word of mouth.